recording.
So we got another dope episode. My Fab, my friends are better, and right now we got one of the greatest friends I have in the whole wide world. He go by Lay, low key successful, and it ain't no other way. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, man.
You good?
I'm good. Finally, getting in front of the mic. I'm normally, on the other side of these cameras, but I'm good.
Well, that's the best way to learn how to do this part is being behind the camera, because you can kind of see angles. You know how like some people be talking and they be talking all low, so it just don't hit. It hit differently when they on this side.
I know what the certain things, I know what to do, when you're speaking, how to speak into a mic properly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man.
So you got them leaves, like you planned that, like you got the orange leaves, like you got Knicks colors. You got the blue with the orange.
Well, I just be trying to I kind of really want this room to be like that outdoor vibe. That was a vision for this, and my goal is to add more plants to it because this particular space doesn't have an outside view, so I wanted to bring the inside. The outside, inside.
So it's like bringing sand to the beach. That's it.
Facts. What I mean? Yeah.
And you from Cali, San Diego?
San Diego. Yeah, that's where I'm from Southern California. I live in LA, but San Diego's where I kind of, I ripped and ran that. That's where my last home was at before I moved to Cleveland.
Yeah. So it's crazy too, cause like how you got the blue hat on, I'm wearing red right now, so it's kind of like I don't know if it was planned to be that way or anything like that.
Even if it was, I ain't gang banging, man. I kind of, my thing is to simply just, don't knock nobody for what they do, but I never really was the one to kind of bang.
That's dope too, cause like I'm looking at your aesthetic, like your shirt with the hat, you got the West Coast. Like what is that brand? Like where did that come from?
This is called Westside Love. It's actually a brand that's out of San Diego. San Diego. A couple of individuals put it out, but they got East Side Love, West Side Love now. It started out as West Side Love, meaning the whole West Coast. So, most of their gear is geared towards individuals that live that West Coast lifestyle. But I seen recently they've been adding like East Side Love. So, but yeah, it's a good brand. I'm, even though I'm out here, I still kind of I rep a little bit. I ain't never been one of those to kind of claim a street or a block. That's really not me. Because I don't own them. So
right. I was just watching an interview, Joey Badass.
Yeah.
On Breakfast Club, and he had made a song, and it was just kind of like some friendly, type of sparring when it come to the music and everything. So a lot of West Side artists took it a whole nother way, which was good because he had like 50 people making songs about him or whatever. Just the whole New York vibe, because New York was known, as far as like the beginning of hip hop, what I'm saying? Like going to the Bronx and everything like that. And by you being on the West Coast, like how is that as far as your upbringing, like in the 80s, like how was like the birth of hip hop, like from your perspective?
I fell in love with hip hop like everybody else did on the West Coast, because it all came from the East. So I grew up on, the Rakims, the Houdinis. We fell in love with hip hop in the way that it was presented to everybody. Everybody, South, West Coast, no matter where you live, the sound came from the East. But, just like in anything in life, eventually it kind of turns into something that everybody loves, which it did. And so the South jumped on board, the West jumps on board, and in those vicinities, those areas, everybody got their own sound, their own identity. And even though the East, I rock with it. I'm like I say, I'm big on hip hop. Foundation. Grew up on it. Big fan of Jay-Z. But the West, it moves a little different. The South moves a little different. So their slang, their the things that they're used to. They want to tell those stories, because people out there is going to be able to relate more to something they know rather than You know, not everybody wore Kangos. You know what I mean? Even though when hip hop first came out, everybody wanted one, but you know, we didn't grow up on Kangos. You know, we grew up on Croco sacks and you know, khakis and just the West Coast sort of vibe.
Dickies, the flannels and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, khakis, that's Dickies. We call, you know, Dickies khakis. So they don't necessarily have to be Dickies. This is just a brand that, you know, everybody, you know, kind of jumped into. But, you know, khaki sort of material is really why we call it khaki.
What about like the shoes? What type of shoes y'all was wearing out there?
I mean, we was in ones, you know, when Jordan came out, he changed the game, but it was, you know, gangbang culture. You'll see like Chuck Taylors, you know, but that's gangbang culture. You know what I mean? You know somebody's banging by how they wear or what they're wearing, rather. So if you see a cat in a Pendleton, more than likely, you know, he's affiliated in some sort of way. If you see him in Pendleton and some khakis and some Chucks, then you might want to, you know, just kind of you make sure you're not wearing the wrong color in the wrong neighborhood.
So how is that though? Like being from the West and just seeing a lot of the things happen culturally shift all over the country, because like even as far as like the way people dress, if you go from the street perspective, like things that they was doing out there, it went from Cali to Maine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I think that's something that happens, you know, not just from a California perspective. I think from whatever is hot, you know, especially in our community, has the ability to like, you know, turn into something major, you know what I mean, to cross over, and then, you know, other, you know, individuals, other people start wearing that or you know, doing that. So just like, you know, just like hip hop when it was founded, you know, everybody wanted Adidas, you know what I mean, because Run DMC was rocking them, so you had to have a pair of Adidas or some suede Pumas, you know what I mean. But as you know, as hip hop started to shift, the South, they wear something a little different, you know what I mean. The West, of course, you know, when you seen Snoop and Dre, you know, you seen Snoop, you know, Pendleton starter jackets, Ice Cube and Chucks, and but I think everybody in their own right, every vicinity, every city has their own little style that I think we all kind of like, okay, that's fly, you know what I mean, whether it's come from the South. Because I've seen, you know, Andre 2000 is kind of offbeat as he was. I've seen his style, like, okay, he different, you know what I mean? He was like the Prince of hip hop, you know, that's what I really called him. Like, he was like that Prince individual of hip hop, but that's not entirely Atlanta. Jeezy was a totally different type of flavor from the South, and from the West, I think we got those same sort of differences. You know what I mean? You have what you would see in, you know what I mean, a Dre or a Snoop, but you know, what about some of these younger, newer artists that are kind of just, you know, they Kendrick, you know he's from Compton. If you see Kendrick just is a little bit more of what today's style is. You know what I mean? So.
It's certain like people who are like trees when it comes to the industry.
Yeah.
And if they wasn't there, hip hop would have been totally different. So somebody like one of the trees I would say in Cali, Eazy-E. Yeah. Like if it weren't Eazy-E, name some people that wouldn't have been, you think wouldn't have been who they was today, just from that tree.
Oh yeah. If it was no Eazy, it wouldn't be no Dre, man. It wouldn't be no Ice Cube. It wouldn't be no Fridays. You know what I mean? It wouldn't. Facts. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? It can go on and on, man. I think from the West perspective, Eazy-E, but I have to be, you know, honest. Like Eazy-E, you know, although he gave birth to Dr. Dre and this, you know, the Snoops and so on and so forth. If it wasn't for, you know, people like, what's the brother, Ice-T, you know what I mean? Ice-T was really the foundation, you know what I mean? Eazy-E, you know, he saw what Ice-T was doing with 6 a.m, police at my door. And he kind of like, he grabbed onto that and like, well, let me turn it into Mo Gangster.
So he was because I had heard that Ice-T song, and I thought that Eazy-E took that song from Ice-T. So it was the opposite. Ice-T was the first one to make that, because you know, to sit cruising in the street in my 6'4". Like if you listen to that beat, it's
yeah. But I you know, Ice-T, It was 6 in the morning, police at my door. That was like a classic on me. Like, I mean, we all, you know, and same thing. Dre was kind of like back then. West Coast music kind of started out like more. I don't really like when it was like Dre was a part of that too, because Dre used to be world class rocking crew. So it was really more music.
He was wearing jerry curls and the silk shirts.
I mean, it's like, you know what I mean. It was kind of like that Hollywoodish type of thing. You know what I mean? So you gotta understand, when you out in a city like LA, it's influenced by, you know, the streets and Hollywood. You know what I mean? So early days of hip hop, you know what I mean, because it wasn't a thing that was embraced by the majority. Like hip hop started truly underground. It started on the, you know, like they say, it started in the, I don't want to be, you know, bring up the debate, but the Bronx or wherever. But it started in New York in the streets. It started in our neighborhoods, and then when it went to the West, the lifestyle of the West Coast, you know, our lifestyle in the streets was, you know, just as rough, just as whatever you want to call it was on the East. But the music was a little bit different, because we were influenced by some of the things that were, you know, that was going on in our areas. So I say the world class wrecking crew was kind of like, it was more like skate music, you know, because skate culture was real big, especially in LA. You know, like, you know, Venice Beach, you know, like if you was a roller skater, you know what I mean? So that music kind of came from that, to give people that kind of vibe, to kind of, you know, get out there, jump on some skates. I think it was World of Wheels. Everybody used to try to go to that bad boy. And it was just, you know, it was just, that was the style, the type of music that was coming out. So Dre was just, you know, he was trying to get to a bag, and that was a bag back then, bro. It was a bag. But then it kind of, you know, there was always, you know, that gangbang culture, which is Eazy-E came out of that other aspect of LA that you didn't really see on films at that time, or you didn't really see at all unless you went to LA, because social media didn't exist. Once that kind of a light got to shining on that, and that was very intentional, bro. You know, hip hop was in a very positive place before Eazy-E kind of, you know, NWA, yeah.
So they the ones who started the whole gangster rap and all that?
Yes. You know, well, there's arguments that, you know, they had individuals that was, you know, cussing on records, you know what I mean, kind of, you know, using profanity, gangster, you know, kind of like, I'd say from the early days, I would say Cool G Rap. You know what I mean? For me, I think he was one of the first gangster rappers that I heard. You know, I used to stand on a rock, sell on the block, selling cooked up rock, money busting out my sock because I really would clock. He was like hard, pause. You know what I mean? I'm learning that from y'all youngsters. But he was like, you know, he was one of those artists that was used to be respected, you know, as was Rakim. You know, his was a little like street art. He said, I used to, this ain't no joke, I used to let the mic smoke. And what was the song he had where like he was a stick-up kid? I think of all the devious things. So they were starting to kind of let you know that this is where we come from, you know what I mean? And I think that the industry, the powers that be, they're like, hey, we want to promote this as opposed to Jungle Brothers, as opposed to Tribe Called Quest, as opposed to KRS-One, you know what I mean? Because, you know what I mean, I think that, you know, for whatever reason, they thought it would sell more music, and in the same sense, I think it really messed up a lot of our, you know, our neighborhoods, a lot of our communities, man. Because that was during the crack era, man. So you got to really realize that music really influenced a lot of the things, the situations that came up out of our neighborhoods, our communities. You know what I mean? So if I hear all day, every day that I'm supposed to be in the block selling rock, and I was one of those kids that heard that, like, hey, get out of here and get money, then you're going to be influenced by that. And I was, man. I was.
Okay. So do you have like the Jerry curl with the spray and the and all that?
Nah, I don't think I think I might have had a Jerry curl for a moment, but nah, I wasn't really the Jerry curl type of dude. I mean, as I got, when I was younger, no, but as I got older, I mean, I did, get my hair braided. You might have seen me.
Mm-hmm.
I look like I was. If you saw pictures of me, you know what I mean. I look like I was from the West.
Mm. That's cool. I like how you still remain where you're from. You know how some people will try to switch, like they might move and they try to change like that type of aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
But like even now, like how you got the West Coast, like the hats. Like I feel like that's a big thing. That's a big thing when it comes to the West Coast, New York and Cali.
Mm-hmm.
I see like the hats of different colors and different things like that. So even sneakers, like I'll be seeing like how you dress and stuff like that. I feel like that's I like how you don't switch up pretty much. You still remain you.
I think that's what keeps me grounded. I'm into what I am. My foundation has always just kind of been just genuine. You know what I mean? Like, I got my faults, man. I ain't gonna sit here and tell you that I'm perfect, because I'm not. But I have always just kind of been that individual that just, I don't really see the need to be anything other than what I am. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. People that know me, like, they know I don't really change. You know what I mean? I disagree. I'll tell you, we disagree. I'm gonna stay founded in what I'm founded in. But yeah, bro, it's just, you know me, Gordon. You know what I mean? Off camera, if none of this was here, man, you know my story. I don't really care about. I do not care about what others are doing, to be honest. You know what I mean? I kind of, and that came from my having spent a whole lot of time with myself. You know what I mean? I spend time with myself, and when you do that, you kind of really get an understanding of who you are. I don't really need nobody, even though I know we all need somebody, kind of like people to kind of be friends. My wife, I love her to death, so I need companionship. But I do know, for me to kind of move through this world, through this life, you know what I mean, the only thing you really need is yourself, man, and God. He's first and foremost in my life, but in God. But.
Yeah, I feel like that sometimes. Like as I get older, I know a lot of people, but it seems like the older I get, it's almost like the more alone I feel. Because you maneuver through life, and some people can hurt you, and it could be close friends, it could be family, and it's like the only person you can depend on is yourself, unless you got a wife or somebody you close with, your kids and different things like that. I really think it's, for me, like finding that one you can depend on other than yourself is key to a happy life, man. And like finding a significant other that I'm talking from a wife, bro. Find someone you can just live it with, man. You know what I mean? And I think that person becomes like that place you can go to when, when things do get rough outside. You know what I mean? So that's what, if you're a young brother out there, and I was young once, you know what I mean? When you're young, you do what you do. I had my fun. I ain't gonna sit here and lie, but find you that one that you can do it with. Like I told my wife, I'm trying to find me, when I met her, like I'm trying to find someone to grow old with, because eventually, all of what you're doing now is going to slow down, and all the stuff that you think is fun, hanging out, drinking all day, every day, eventually that's going to get boring, man. I mean, it only is exciting for so long, man. It's kind of like, getting with someone for the first time, how it is kind of, that's how I think life is. It's kind of in cycles, like getting with someone, and when it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting. But, over time, it kind of turns into like, what it really is. And, just finding someone that when it turns to what it really is,
it's still a good place to be, man. So that's what I do. That's what I look for, and I found that.
How is it doing what you do, because you've built so many different companies, establishments, and you put a lot of hours into your craft. And how is that like being with, married or, with a significant other, and it's like you have to build this baby? Like, how is that like for you? Is that hard?
Very hard, man. Any man will tell you that, any man that is trying to build something, substantial, will tell you that it will take a toll on your marriage, because, like you said, this becomes your baby, much like, a real life kid. You want to nurture that. You want to make sure it grows into something. So, and that's why I must say that my wife has allowed me, and I love her for that. That's why, like, it ain't no going no place else. She the one. Facts. Ain't nobody else really say or do anything that's gonna make me move in any other direction, simply because, like, she allowed me to find my way, which took away from my being at home as much as she would have liked me to be. When we first got together, it was us, which is why we kind of fell into each other, because we did third things together. We spent a lot of time together. But once we got through that phase, which all couples do, and she kind of got into her little zone, I got in my zone, which was business, it took away from the time that we spent together. But she understood it. She knew what she married. She like, I knew who you were before I even married you. I knew you were this entrepreneur dude, and I was, man. Like, in my story, I got a play coming, and this is a plug that's gonna kind of tell you a little bit more about, my story and how I came to be here. But I have always been a hustler since day one, and my wife has kind of seen every aspect of that as you could possibly see. I am a serial entrepreneur, and I could say that I've been very lucky, because a lot of it is luck, but luck is really about, someone that is putting their self in the right place. You don't get lucky unless you put yourself in a position to get lucky. So the luck that I've had is because my wife has allowed me the space to get out and get lucky, to get out and put myself in rooms that I couldn't have put myself in if I hadn't have been outside, man. Like, so for the first 20 years of my business, I was outside. I was really out there networking, figuring it out, losing, multiple losses, lessons, I will say that they were losses as well, because money was expended that I didn't get a return back on. But yeah, I kind of, in going through that, I kind of figured out, like, hey, I don't want to risk the money, which money is not easy to come about, man. Money's not easy to come about. When you see people with millions, I salute them, because to accumulate that much money requires like a sense of focus that, man, it's like just different than anybody else, which is why they are the exception. It's why not very many people are wealthy. It's a special type of individual that can become that. But I say that to say that you have to, you really, really have to kind of, if you want to get to what you see others, get to where you see others at, you really have to kind of figure out how to just discipline yourself to be that, man. It's and that's, like you said, it goes back to, you see what I do. I'm in here all day, every day, man. I live, eat, sleep, breathe my business.
You got a bunk bed in the back too.
It ain't a bunk bed. It's my little power nap cot. Yes, I do have a cot. Because that's how serious I am about my business. Like, You know, if I'm putting in 16, 18-hour days, then, you know, I'm going to get tired. And so I'm like, hey, you know, and I'm not as young as I used to be. So now, like, hey, if I want to take a power nap, I pop that bad boy out, power nap and get up, and I'm right back at it. Right back to doing whatever I got to do to kind of get me and my wife to a place to where, you know, I don't have to do this no more, bro. You know what I mean? I'm trying to retire like tomorrow. If I have my way, and if God answers my prayers, it will be.
Yeah, it's gonna happen because you've helped so many people, and I'm glad that you on camera. Because for a long time, I'm like, man, you need to put your stuff out. You need to, you know, be on the camera. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I know your brand is low key successful, but I be wanting people to know. You know, a lot of times people might see me and they be thinking, well, he did that. You know, but I want people to see, like, no, we did that. Like, these are like yourself, like, have a big part of like my success, you know, helping me and navigating me, not from just a business aspect, but just personally, you know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that I was able to get you here, because you don't really do a lot of interviews. Starting to do them now, but yeah.
But it's really like my maybe second one. You know what I mean? Like, but I've never wanted this part. You know what I mean? I kind of think that, you know, personally, I think there's far more interesting people out there than me that people should know about. And, you know,
I disagree.
But you know, that's the modesty in me. You know what I mean?
But like, I feel like people like you are needed. Like, people need to hear from you, because you have a lot of experience. You have a lot of things. Like, all the people that you done worked with, that you done helped, from young to old, to $1 million companies, to, you know, me making my first 100,000. Like, you've seen me homeless. Like, I remember I was homeless, and you allowed me to sleep on the couch in the studio. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was going down the hall, washing up in the sink. You know what I'm saying? So you've you may not think that, but you've helped so many people, and I feel like your story is very important. You know, and I know you humble, but I'm gonna pop it for you.
But,
you know,
I'm starting to kind of, and because of you. That's why I think that I really started moving towards my current project, which is kind of my story. You know what I mean? The DJ, the drummer, and the dope dealer is a little bit of my story. You know, but it's not just my story. It's a story that's kind of like a gumbo of all of my friends. You know, one of my best friends who moved out here from Cali as well. It's some of his story. It's some of the people I grew up with story. Some of the people I met out here story. And but like I do want to kind of just let people know, like, hey, this is who I am, so that when you do see me, you know that I'm not just this, you know, just this person that's behind the camera pushing buttons. You know what I mean? It's, you know, I have you know, my journey it's been it's a movie, man. You know, but my journey a movie, man. Facts.
Yeah, because I feel like too, like, a lot of times, you'll have these ideas, and you might say something to someone, and then they wind up doing what you didn't. You know what I'm saying? You just said, but it's something that was in your brain. So I just feel like it's important. Really, just put your stamp on it. You know, this is something that I did. You know. Yeah. And I know you've helped like a lot of successful companies, but it's nothing like doing your own thing.
That's a fact. And you know, out of respect for those who I have worked with, you know, that are successful, man, I have to salute them in the fact that they are good at what they do, man. You know, I've come to understand that successful people are successful because they are super focused, man. They are super focused, man, like, for real. Like, they just focus on that one thing that they know that they special at, and that's why they became or who they are. You know, so I salute all of them, man. I salute you, bro. Like, you know what I mean? For real. You know, I remember when you were talking about this, you know what I mean? just, you know, kind of being in front of a camera and social media. And I mean, you had like 500 followers. You was like, you didn't have many. And you was like, man, I'm gonna get to 10,000. I didn't even think nothing about it. I wasn't, you know, I knew what social media was. I had an account. I've always been a tech by default. So I'm abreast of what's next. But I wasn't really like, you know, social media wasn't something I thought about all day, every day, with the exception of how it could help my business. But I saw you get super focused on, I wanted this, and you got it. Mm-hmm. Like that, if you continue to do that, apply what you did there to this, then the this, then the this. It's the same strategy. It's persistence, bro. Ain't no holding you back. You know what I mean? Facts. You know what I mean? Individual puts his mind to something and speaks on that and lives that every single day he wakes will eventually become that which you sought after. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. It take 1 year. Like we was just talking about one of my other friends. He been doing like the social media thing for a while, but he said, I'm going to take this serious. And he put 1 year and just literally just laser focus like you talking about. Yeah. Now he making $10,000 a month and hundreds of thousands of followers.
It's that self. You have to see yourself like that though, bro. You have to really visualize you. Like they say, if you have faith of a mustard seed, bro, it will take you, like, if you believe just that much, and it's got to be a sort of belief that's undeniable, you can go to wherever, man. It's like this, I think it's a Greek proverb that I think I told you about it, man. And I've always carried this with me, but it's like, it's about this emperor who had a son that was kind of deformed. His son would be hunched over. You know what I mean? He was born with a deformity. He couldn't stand up straight. And it was like his 21st birthday. And his emperor said, what do you want for your birthday, son? And his son said, I want a statue of myself, Dad. And his dad kind of looked at him like, oh, whoa, you're a little, you're a little kind of like, hunched over, decrepit. You know what I mean? You sure? You're like, no, I don't want that statue of me as I am now. I want that statue of me how I will be. And it's asked like, what? Yeah, I want a statue of me standing tall, completely erected, at my highest, at my highest height. And so he did it for his son. So every single morning his son went out to like a garden and inched his way up as much as he could each day until he stood and saw his statue in the eye. And that's kind of like that self where he saw himself as standing tall, and every day he strived to push himself up a little higher till he was watching himself or looking himself in the eye. And I kind of think that that's how I live my life, man. I kind of like, it's not really a, get it overnight type of thing, because I'm old enough to know that anything substantial takes time. And any plan you make will not unfold the way you thought it was going to unfold. So just know that things are going to happen, but continue to stay the course, and we're going to be all right, which is what we going to be all right, bro. Mm-hmm. I know that God got me, us.
Yeah. And, you said that, some of the losses that you've took through the years, but I feel like a lot of losses were actually gains too, because you was able to learn a lot of different things, and also the relationships you built. So sometimes like we'd take that loss, and I know you done lost thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Even equipment, you probably spent $100,000 on equipment, but you also then gave away hundreds of thousands of worth of equipment away too, or you might have just, what I'm saying, like that. Yeah. How important is it to invest in yourself, like invest in your craft? Because some people think like it just come easy, or you could just wake up and it just happens. Mm-hmm. But they never talk about all the money and the time that you got to spend.
That's simple, man. Very simple. Someone told me this, and I read it a few times. It takes money to make money. It takes money to make money. And money is not necessarily a monetary thing. Money could be time, because time is money. So in order for you to be anything of substance, to get somewhere, to get your bread up, your bag up, you have to invest in yourself, whether that's monetarily, whether that's mentally, whether that's, from a physical standpoint, just getting in the gym and exercising, you know what I mean? But you have to invest in yourself or you won't get anything back. Mm-hmm. So like, just think of that. Yes, I I can, I will invest in myself until, I can no longer invest in myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll buy some equipment before you spend something on yourself. Like you'll see something like, well, I take that and I put it towards that. Yeah. And your wife probably buy you all your clothes, like, which, but I've seen it. Like, yeah, I might give you some money and you like, oh, I would take this and I could go buy me a chair. I can go get a mic. I can go.
Yeah, because that's, that's, and not to say that, having equipment and having all these assets mean anything, because, I can have $1 million camera and Kai Cenat can have a cell phone and take it much farther than I ever could. So, that doesn't mean anything either. But if you have like a plan, a vision for it, whatever you getting, and like say, not really worrying about how long it takes, and just knowing that anything that that's worth something is going to take some time, then you just follow, you follow through on what it is that that's in you, man. Mm-hmm. I think each of us have something in us that we believe in, and a lot of times we talk ourselves out of it. I've done it, man. I've talked myself out of what's about to happen that about for years. I think Malcolm Bilal, my creative alter ego, was like, I presented that to you in Jah Life maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, like I did a whole presentation to tell you where I was going to go with it, and wasn't like, that was a dope PowerPoint. Yeah, y'all got to see my PowerPoint presentation. But I did, Mm-hmm. But I saw it, I visioned it. I had it in my head enough to be able to create a PowerPoint presentation, and it was a good one about where I saw it going. And like I told you earlier, it didn't unfold exactly how I envisioned, but I'm still on that course that I was wanted to be on. Mm-hmm. And that was art. That was content. I've remained in, that's one thing that I can say about myself. I have remained in this space since I got in it. I'm super focused on content, especially from a live perspective. Mm-hmm. I think like everybody wants it right now. Nobody wants to wait for nothing cut and edited. I think that eventually, like, the content we see is going to be more live than it is pre-recorded.
Yeah, I see Netflix starting to get a lot of live content. Tubi, because Netflix had that Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight.
Yeah, real-time content.
Yeah, they about to have, I think the NFL, they got a partnership with them now. So, yeah. But you have been talking about live and live streaming. Let me see. You was talking about that in like 2017.
Yeah.
17.
When I first started, when we was in the radio station.
Yeah, we was at 107.9. Yeah. This before like all these streamers and all that, everybody that's blowing up. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you've been talking about that, and I was just like, streaming, like, what's that? Like,
now, if I would like, and I thought about that, if I was one of those, well, I've never been one of those, to be in front of the camera with the knowledge and what I had, man, I could, because I was on it, way before, you know what I mean? But God chose this path for me, and I trust his guidance. And like, I think I've told you this, I know that things are aligning, like it's through knowing what has been said and done in the past, and kind of seeing it all kind of come together to like, just follow the path.
Sometimes though, God can show you something, and it's like you don't pick it up. Like it'd be
It'd be right in front of your face.
It'd be in your face because you literally were talking about. And another thing, remember them black boxes?
Yeah,
I had bought one from you, and that was like I got that before I got Fire Stick.
Yeah,
you already had that. You know what I'm saying?
Those boxes, like when I left my job, Regency Technologies, it was like 15. Those boxes with a couple other things I had going on, but really those boxes was like my first product that I kind of conceived. But it kept me self-employed, man. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, I was making $1 million from it, but I made enough to like, because it was like Fire Sticks before Fire Sticks.
Yeah, I don't know. What was that? Like, I know what it is, but people may not know.
That was Cody.
Yeah.
And, Cody was like, basically the Fire Stick, it was like, Cody was an app you can put on Android boxes, and it will allow you to get free TV, free movies, free everything that you see on these jailbroken Fire Sticks. But it was before they came out, so I would get these little black boxes.
It looked like a hot spot. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, but I would buy them from China. I would buy them. I started out buying them off of eBay because I was a big eBay. That's how I kind of lay my foundation on eBay, buying stuff on eBay, selling stuff on eBay. But I found these boxes on eBay, and then I bought like a case from them. When they sent the case from me, they accidentally left like where they bought it from, and I contact them, and I started getting them from China. And I had a good run. I was buying them in bulk until customs started snatching them. And like, oh, it's time to go.
How much did you say you made off those boxes? Like, just an estimate.
I don't know. I'd have to ask my wife, but man, I think I did pretty good back then. I was traveling. You know what I mean? I was.
Because how much was that box? It was like $50 or something like that. What? How much were you selling them for? I forgot.
And I used to sell them things for $150. In California, used to be selling for $350. I used to send them back home to my brother, and he was selling them for $350.
I bought one because I bought one of them, and you gave me a monitor.
But I was buying for like $40. I could get them for $20, like on the baseline. But I first started with $40, and then when I got to the source, I was getting them for $20 each. But I was selling them for $150, and I create. See, what I'm really good at systems. I created a way to load them all up fast. So I created like master USB drives, and we'll pop in like 10 at a time. So I could have 10 boxes configured like in an hour. And so that's 1,500. Because like they was, people wouldn't just get one. Like if you got one, I want one for each bedroom. You know what I mean? So it's like every household was getting like 3 of them. So it was good money, man.
So that's like what's that, like $100,000 profit?
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, because that's a flip.
My wife,
flip 40.
My wife would tell you I've always been that, man. I've kind of been. I think I owe that to my grandmother, man. My grandmother was a hustler, man. She was, project kid. We grew up in the projects. My grandmother instilled that in us, like, she used to sell like whatever, man, like cool cups, frozen Kool-Aid. We call them cool cups. I kind of grew up in before we moved to LA. Before we moved to LA, then to San Diego. Before that, I lived in Port Arthur, which is Houston, PA. That's where UG came from. Bun B and all them same city. Small town right outside of Houston. Stayed in Houston too, but we live in these projects called Carver Terrace. As soon as you drive into Port Arthur, we like the first projects you see. And grandmother like sold everything, bro. Like cool cups, which is frozen Kool-Aid. She used to sell like sweet potato pies, dinners. You think of it, my grandmother sold it, man. You know what I mean? And so like when I seen that, I saw that in her like, well, sure, I'm gonna do the same. How can I find something for the low? And okay, even I marked it up 5 cents, that was candy. Buy a big bag of candy, and I'm selling at school for 5 cents, you know what I mean? So
yeah, that's a part of our culture, just the hustle.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in school, people were selling. I sold CDs. I sold corn. I sold candy, whoopee cushions.
I hope my pastor ain't watching. I sold porn too back in the day.
Yeah,
when he used to like on the DVDs.
My cousin, my cousin Kenny, Man, that dude was a CD, DVD
Oh, yeah.
man growing up. He was one of the.
He still is.
Yeah, he was making.
It's still. I do not believe there are still individuals that got DVD players in their houses.
That's why I need to interview her. But I believe.
Yeah, Kenny got a.
I think Kenny probably made millions off of CDs and DVDs.
Yeah,
millions. Cause I met somebody that sold CDs and they told me how much money they was making. Like,
yeah, and $1 million is not a lot. I mean, you've seen $1 million in your lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee you, man. Like, people really think money is just, black folks, man. We move through so much money, man. And if you just really sit down and realize how much money you done messed off on bottles, some of these dudes out here that's struggling, if they count them bottles up, they got a house or two, man.
Yep, hot bottles, women hair products and stuff like that. Yeah, you spend a lot of money on all that stuff. Like, I just think that's what it is. It's just finding a need, that people need or a want that they think is a need. Like them black boxes was dope when you was moving them, because at that time
cable was high.
Cable was high.
Yeah,
and then people was making that transition from.
DVD.
For one, DVDs, it was the streaming like was really like
new.
Starting to, it was new, but it was starting to transition a little bit. Like even the Fire Stick, that whole, I think maybe a year Fire Stick came out after that. But that's why I want to ask you, where do you get like your ideas? Because a lot of stuff you be coming up with, it might happen a year, 2, sometimes 5, 10 years later, and you already be on it. Like podcasting, for instance, I ain't know nobody wouldn't talk about no pod. You probably the first person that I ever heard, especially here in Cleveland, talk about podcasts. And this has been since like 2015. It's been at least 10 years.
Yeah. Well, I think like that had a lot to do with the sector I was in. I was in the technology sector. I used to work for a company called Regency Technologies, and being in that sector, I used to always go to CES. Like, it's a convention it's the Consumer Electronics Convention, the Consumer Electronics Show, CES. But it's basically where all of like the top companies like Samsung, Sony, Google, they all are there. But it's also all smaller companies that are trying to be the next Google or Sony, and they're showing you this new technologies like flip phones, like the one to fold out. Man, I seen that thing like 5 years before they, like actually can touch it and play with it. And it was all from China. Like in CES, they have like the main hall is like on a new convention center, but I think it's at the Sands. The Sands Hotel used to be the old convention center. And so all of like the Chinese companies, the big boys are at the big one, because that's prime real estate. It costs more to have these, and they got these super huge, like display. I don't even booths, man. They like sections. They might be the size of the, Sony could have something the size of the Q. You know what I mean? That's their section, because it's gonna show you everything: PlayStation, headphones, anything that Sony has is in this big area. But the smaller companies, Chinese companies, in the Sands part, and that's where you see all the Sony executives are, because they're looking to buy their product so it can become the next new hot thing for Sony or Google. And I start like, I'll go over there to check out the new cool stuff, but I go there like, oh, this next. Oh, this next. And you see like everybody selling the podcast device, bikes, and like, man, what's this? And the guy showed me that machine. Look, it was a Sling Studio. That's the first place I seen Rogues Caster and all that. They showed me a Sling Studio. And he's like, this podcasting, use cameras. You can use cell phones as cameras. So I'm like, oh. So I took down the information, went home, told my wife about it a little bit. Like, I want to buy one of these things. And, by the grace of God, I was in a position to do that. And so I bought one, and didn't really have, any clientele for it, for real, until, I think we both Kevin Chill Hurd was like my first client. And it was like, you played a part in that because Chill went to your barbershop. I think we both, came to us both at the same time, but like we both closed that.
Yeah, that was Radio 1.
Yeah, that's how we got into Radio 1 through Chill. And then, of course, I met Incognito, and then we tried some things there. And but like that's just how
we
took
met
out.
everybody in there. DJ Ryan Wolf.
Yeah,
met him
Wolf,
in there.
Sam Silk. But
Sam Silk.
I knew Sam Silk prior to 107.9 because before that, I remember I was a tech. Like most of the creative people, musicians, you know, and things like that, I knew of because I used to sell Apple computers. You know, I was like, if you wanted an Apple computer, I was that guy.
Did you met Matt in there too, right?
Who I met Matt in the radio station, Matt Dennis. I think Incognito introduced me to Matt. Incognito said, "Man, I got this young brother who I think you should meet." You know what I mean? Because he's kind of like he's into the stuff you into. You know what I mean? Because I was like, you know, podcast last year. That's how I met Matt. Yeah, but before that, like say, that was through like Yanni. Yanni Makes Hits. Chip the Ripper, Big Dukes. What's the one? My one boy name? DJ. Rami. And what's the DJ name, man? Man, forgive me, man. Good friend, met him a couple times. You know, I met him through Rami. A white kid, man.
Are you talking about EV?
EV. They were all in that circle. EV. I think Rami and EV lived together because all of them ended up moving to California. Like really, literally, like I think Yanni was first, and then Big Duke and
did Rami did he have part in City Blue? Did he own some of them City Blues?
Nah.
I met
Rami was a producer.
Yeah, I met this Rami.
Rami used to produce beats for. I heard Rami worked for a dope company out there in LA right now too, bro. But Rami used to produce beats for Chip. You know, he's a part of that camp. You know what I mean? And that's how I kind of met I think through Chip and him, I met everybody. I met Kid Cudi and all kind of people.
Who's some of the like people you'd have met, like, cause you started off like tech, you know, fixing hard drives, computers, and even selling. Like you got me selling. That's kind of like how I met you. I actually hired you, but then from that you took a liking into me, and then started selling TV stands, projectors, soundboards.
That was my space, man. That was good money at that time.
Who have you met, like, you know, or you build a relationship just off of your skill set through the years? Oh,
bro, it's too many to mention, man.
You named some of them though already.
Yeah, it's just too many to mention. I mean, when I already put names out there, I kind of, you know, I know a little bit of everybody, man. You know, I can say people know of me. You know what I mean? I'm not really one of those that's outside. I pop out every now and then. But you know,
the relationships though, like some of your partners, like Phil, who else? Montana. I know you did some work with him.
Most of Montana's websites, I've kind of like, you know, played a part in those. Good brother.
LV.
Hustler. Oh, LV. Yeah, that's my dude.
Yeah, LV crazy because LV grew up together. That's my guy. But I know you worked on the hard drive. He had some hard drive was messed up.
That's one I like, because that's why I do Max, like LV and all them, because like, what's the one brother name that owns
you talking about
Wall? Because that's how I knew. I used to, all of their systems. I used to be Wall. I tell you, if you had a music studio, more than likely that system came from me.
Even Cruz.
Yeah, Cruz. Yeah, Cruz had one of my systems. He had I used to sell these Mac Pros. They towers. They were built for studios. But Cruz, LV, Wall, Chip, Duke, Yanni, what's the 969? I think is his name. He's producer. What's the one little brother named Big Head Dez? Man, you name it.
What's the one dude? What? Not YSN Flow. We work with YSN Flow too, but
YSN Flow.
What was that? We had the studio over there in Bedford. Just through that space right there, that was like what 2,700 square feet. That whole floor.
What we had, we probably had 2,700. What we kind of like, that was personally ours, but we had to remember through a partnership with the owners of the building. Like, you know, I had like pretty much the whole building, bro.
Yeah, but just that whole bottom floor though, like
that was ours.
Photography studios, podcast.
Shout out to Jadon and even Mike D, man, the old crew. You know what I mean? It got a little different. You know what I mean? I think we all grew up in that, man. We all became found our identity through that, man. So in spite of the fact that it didn't turn out to what we thought it was, I do think, like I said, those were lessons, man. We all came away better off because I look at what Mike doing, what Jadon doing, what you doing, what
T.Y.
Yeah. But we all found our own little selves.
Sam was in there too.
Yeah, Samuel Long.
Mr. Red Carpet. That time though, this was back in what was this, 2016, 17?
Yeah.
So this was the first time that I heard of a creative space, especially dealing with content and creatives. And but I had found out too, my cousin, he actually had something similar, Dre.
Okay.
Yeah, I was listening to an interview. Yeah, shout out to Dre, man. You owe me an interview too, man. If you see this or any of the family, tell Dre he still got to sit down with me. But anyway, I'll talk to him at the family reunion. But he had a creative space too around the same time.
Okay. And was he at the Tink building? It wasn't Tink. I don't think it was
Tink. Dre had a spot over there on Hamilton.
On Hamilton.
Yeah, actually.
Oh, was he over there with what's her name? It was a white lady over there. Matt know her name, man. You remember?
What lady? Oh, you talking about that one lady we went
with the red hair?
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I forgot her name though.
Yeah, was he over there? Because everybody has. That's where Hamilton.
I don't know. I went to.
That was a co-working creative space.
Yeah, he didn't have a co.
That's where I met Matt. I first seen Matt used to work for Shelly.
Oh, Shelly.
Her name was Shelly. But Matt was working. That's where I very first seen Matt without really. I met him later at the radio station. But the first time I seen Matt,
you seen him there?
He was at Shelly's. He was he was working with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt always near some dope people.
Yeah, Matt kind of Matt stays in that, he's smart. He stays in the right rooms.
Yeah, Matt, Cam.
Cam
Hustle. But yeah, he was on Hamilton, and I didn't even know that was a creative space until I seen an interview. I was like, oh man, that's pretty dope. I'm like, he got to sound almost a similar story to ours or whatever. But his it didn't work. It didn't work. He tried to do it and everything, and I think it was ahead of the time because I heard it was some other individual. How crazy it is how your mind is similar to some of these people. Shout out to Dre. Also, Nipsey Hussle, he had something similar. No. It was somebody else I was reading about.
And you got to also remember, I used to go back home and see stuff
and come back.
They not doing it, nothing. Cleveland is a dope city, which is why I'm here. But California is kind of it was just a little ahead in certain areas, you know what I mean? So especially creative spaces and things like that. The talent, Cleveland has talent. California wants that talent. But I would go back home, see something oh, we could do this there, you know what I mean? So it was, and then my mentor, it's before, you familiar with WeWork? When I first started getting into this creative space, my mentor, his name is Chuck Sal, he kind of told me, he introduced me to an executive for WeWork. We went out to La Jolla or something, and I had lunch with him. And they were telling me a creative space, but do it like WeWork. That's how I came up with the co-working creative space. Meeting with him.
So a lot of people from Cleveland, they leave. They'll literally, they might have a specific talent and they might move. They might go to an Atlanta or go to a LA. Bone went out to Cali. You'll have certain people from Cleveland might move to Atlanta, some DC in different areas. Chicago, Avant, he went to Chicago, or even New York. But you was in California and you came to Cleveland. Most people would be like, well, what would make you come from out there with all the sand and this beautiful weather to come to Cleveland? How is that, like, from your perspective, like coming from where you're from, coming to this beautiful city?
It was different. It was affordable.
Was it snowing when you came here?
Yes, it was. I got here in January. January 8th is when I got here, bro.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to Cleveland.
But it was affordable. You know, I mean, California at that time, you know, California was, it still is, you know, but it was like really starting to, you know, get up there. You know what I mean? So, you know, I was like, hey, you know, let's go. You know what I mean? This, you know, let's go to where we know our money could go farther at. And like my wife was originally from Cleveland. I met her in California, but you know, I think I was just I just mentioned it in like just, you know, we just talking. Yeah, I moved to Cleveland or one of those things. And before I know it, she didn't talk to her parents like, hey, we can go if you want to. And, you know, something happened out there. A friend of mine, he ended up passing away. And I just felt the need for a change, bro. So I like, yeah, let's go, man. So I came, but like, you know, and when I came, I immediately knew that Cleveland was next. How can I say that? Because I saw it being what places in LA and San Diego, just California in general, were already like. You know, I seen it like in its infant stage. Like eventually, this is so affordable that everybody there is going to come here. Everybody from New York and Chicago, where these markets are kind of pushing out. You know what I mean? You know, pushing out individuals that are trying to, you know, double their money, flip their money. You know what I mean? You can't do that in the market. Well, you can, but to get in that industry and in that market, you have to have like, you know, your bag has to be super big. Like to get in the real estate market in California, you got to have at least 3-4 million, bro. To get in the real estate market out here, at that time, you have to have, you know, 300,000-400,000. You can come out here and you could do something. So like I think what you said, I believe that has changed though. Where even with Cleveland, some of my you know, my day ones out here. People I've met with been knowing since I first come here, they all felt that they had to leave, and maybe that was a thing at that time. It was because even with Bone or MTK, at that time, the industry wasn't rooted in Cleveland, or the eyeballs weren't on Cleveland. So in order to kind of be seen, you had to go to those areas where that was a thing. But with internet and social media, man, like that's changed. You don't have to leave your city anymore, bro. I think like the individuals that are succeeding nowadays, and if Cleveland just can kind of like just look at some of these other Atlanta, for example, or you know, Chicago or Tennessee, or some of these, you know, Memphis. Memphis is a really good example. Small city. I just focus on them. Like let's just put our sound and really be big on that, and they turn into what they turned into. New Orleans, certain segments are like Lafayette and Shreveport. They, you know, Houston is next. You know what I mean? They kind of got, you know, just focusing on who they are. I think if you just, you know, stay true to your identity, what Cleveland really is, and Cleveland's dope, man. Cleveland's not soft, right? A lot of people think Cleveland's like this, you know, this small town, but man, yeah.
Now, when I go out of town, they think they be saying First 48.
Nah, but I mean, you know, but not everybody watches First 48. You know what I mean? You know, but like, even with my brothers and then when I moved there, like Cleveland, you know what I mean? They was like, but then when they came, like, oh, yes, it's a real city. You know what I mean? It's any city that has 3 major sports teams is not a little thing, man. And that's something that appealed to me. Like they have 3 major sports teams. They're going to turn into what LA and San Diego is, what Chicago is, what New York is, because what's happening is in those cities, they're phasing out like affordability. So everybody's going to get tired of spending every single dollar they bring in towards housing, and they're going to go to where the better, a standard of life is better. And Cleveland's that.
Yeah. So you kind of like, it's like you walking into Cleveland is like a house, an empty house that has nothing in it. But
I disagree.
No. But hear me out. It's like a nice house, but nothing in it. But you can see what it could become.
Yeah,
because you can add.
You have to have vision.
You can add that.
Some individuals in the city have vision, bro.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
But the thing is, like Cleveland back in the day, we were Atlanta back in the day.
Hands down.
We had 1 million people that lived here. Like we had.
Cleveland was a little big city. Cleveland had industry, you know what I mean? But like a lot of other cities that are just like Cleveland, when that industry, kind of like disappeared or died, like so went the people. Like it, people from the South came here because they had Rockefeller and oil, and it was
motor companies,
Detroit. It was like where you can go and make a real good living. Detroit and Cleveland were like
also too
big cities, man.
Also too, Cleveland culturally was huge. We was a hub back in the day, like how you got Tulsa, Rosewood, like 105. That was a downtown just for blacks.
Yeah.
We didn't go like downtown Cleveland. We went to 105 where you had
that was their downtown. You know what I mean? Back then, you couldn't go downtown or you wasn't welcome downtown, so they didn't. Mm-hmm. So they, we had our flourishing areas. We had areas that we kind of, just knew to be like, this is ours. But
yeah, but the reason why we even had those is because there was a lot of gangsters here back in the day.
Yeah.
So the mafia ran Cleveland back in the day. You had Irish mob, Italian mob. Yeah. But even with that, you also had the underbelly. You know what I'm saying? So the reason why a lot of these major cities are flourishing is because of the streets. So Chicago, Detroit, let's say Miami, Atlanta, LA. The street culture is what brings the money. So even when it comes to the streets, now you also have what? Executives. Because even Eazy-E was a street guy, and he was able to use that and to
what really makes cities thrive is they have an identity of some sort. You know what I mean? Like like Hollywood has, LA has Hollywood, like New York has, I think fashion, I think, if we go to other cities, like Chicago is known for the media. All the top advertisement companies are in Chicago. Some of the top newspapers are in Chicago. They're known for that. So that they control the industry that will be able to employ like X amount of people and sustain a standard of a certain standard. You know what I mean? Like be able to, when people are employed, that city will flourish. And that's kind of thing like Cleveland was that. I mean, Cleveland had.
But why was Cleveland employed? How? I'm speaking for as the blacks.
Well, blacks, we worked in the industries, man. We worked in the steel yards, bro.
But everybody didn't work in the steel yards.
Yeah, but this is one thing I'm gonna tell you about this here, man. I've never been in one of the things you think that's the underworld is the majority. No, man. The individuals that are hustling and all that, that's a small percentage, bro. So
and I'm only speaking this because I'm from here and my family moved here in the 50s. So I know a little bit of, I know a lot about Cleveland. One man in Cleveland, his name was Winston E. Willis. He employed, he had I want to say it was 50,000 people that worked for this man. One man.
But back then, how many blacks were in? That's one man and 50,000 people. So look, how many blacks in Cleveland were employed?
So Cleveland had 1 million people back then.
Yeah, so he talking about 50,000, bro. That's what I'm saying.
But I'm only speaking of one man. It's 50,000. My uncle worked for this guy. This guy was worth $10 to $20 million back in the 50s, the 60s at that time. So that's why a lot of those 105 had those grocery stores, restaurants, movie theaters.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but it was also those people that had those restaurants, grocery stores, and theaters. It's like it wasn't just the gangsters. Gangsters always going to exist, but there's always and always has been a majority of just people that get up every day, like your uncle, my aunt. You know what I mean? Your uncles and aunt, people that don't in the street, that go to work every day, that own things, that own houses, that work for Ford, that work for whatever, that really make those communities.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with you, because yes, you're absolutely right. But I'm speaking of when it comes to like businesses, industry, when it comes to the entertainment field, it came from the streets, because back in the day, Cleveland had a lot of pimps, players, you had gangsters, like the original Superfly. It wasn't Ron O'Neal. Ron O'Neal's actually from Cleveland, but it was a guy named Scatterbrains. Scatterbrain was a millionaire. He had Scatter's Barbecue. He had a bunch of businesses, and he funded a lot of stuff. The difference between now and back then is, back then they funded a lot of the businesses. They put up the money. I was watching this movie called The Banker. And the guy was he wanted to go in real estate, but the bank wouldn't give him no money. So you know who he went to? He went to that gangster, the guy who was the hustler in the streets. That's how he was able to get that loan, so we could start those things. So I don't want to.
And that's all I'm saying. It's like, I'm not saying that people that gangsters didn't get their bread or didn't lay some foundation, but I'm also telling you it was individuals that wasn't in street life that probably went to that gangster. A gangster back then is different than a gangster nowadays.
It's different.
Yeah, I mean, though they were actually pillars of the community. I mean, unless you knew he was a gangster, which most people that knew, but.
But that's
he didn't carry himself like one.
But that's why a lot of these cities, like major cities, are bigger. Is because of the streets. Because right now, Cleveland, for instance, we don't have no top executives here. We don't have we got some people that got a lot of money, but they ain't coming back putting a lot of people on and building the next millionaire or the next version of them. But if you go to somewhere like Houston, you got who? You got a Jay Prince.
I think they got those individuals here too, though.
I'm speaking of just the music industry. I
see what you mean. You just mean people that are, that are just.
And this
people that are known, people that are celebrities.
Yeah,
Jay Prince,
he had the rap records and all that. I'm from Cleveland, the blog site. I'm from here, so I know that part, you know what I'm saying? And even as far as my dad and them was coming up, they told me the stories of how a lot of stuff got funded and everything. Plus, I don't know, I just see stuff, but it's the truth, you know what I'm saying? And then also too, those guys did work with other people that was in that industry that didn't look like me and you too. So yeah, but that's what I mean. Who's the Jay Prince of Cleveland? Who's the Eazy-E of Cleveland? Who is the QC of Cleveland? Who is even Detroit? They got the wave right now when it comes to the movie game. We got some dope guys, people making movies, but all of them work together.
Yeah, and I think that eventually that will happen, man. I think that Cleveland has enough talent in it and to be exactly what an Atlanta is, a LA is, and New York is, because what I see is a lot of those that leave Cleveland leave and become extremely successful. I mean,
but do they come back and do? And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we got the talent,
and that's what I'm saying. I think it's gonna take somebody that has, or not somebodies, because it can't just be one person. That kind of Steve Harvey's and MGK's and the Bones and all of them coming together for the sake of the good of the city, and be like, hey, let's do something collectively that kind of makes it better makes it better for us all. That we become but I think it's really, we have to establish yourself an identity for yourself. I think that, what is Cleveland really good at that they can say that they're much better at than anybody else, and whatever that thing is, that's us. This is what we do really, really, really well. Do it.
And that's why I feel like it's important to know your history, because every city has an identity. And music, for instance, music is based on really your environment. So like you think of Cali, like I like Larry June, he one of my favorite artists. I feel California when I listen to like that whole wavy, you know, sound. I feel like I'm going to the beach. He
That
talking
funk,
about
yeah.
like that sound. But when I hear tipping on faux foes, or that, you know, drinking certain stuff, or just slowing down and everything like that,
It's Houston.
I think of Houston. When I think of like
Them
go-go
my two areas,
music,
too.
go-go music and everything like that, I think of what? DC. Atlanta
Its
at
own
one point,
sound.
Atlanta at one point, they had their own sound too. It was
Crump.
it was Crump. You had the dirty South. Even the way they spoke, like it was that country sound. Now I don't hear that. Everybody, and that's because everybody moving to Atlanta. It's like a big melting pot, you know.
Yeah.
So
Atlanta's changed as well. You know, Atlanta's kind of become, you know, Hollywood, bro. You know what I mean? It's become that, you know, that place where everybody flourishes or goes to flourish.
it's the industry now. It's
The
a hub.
industry's there, yeah. But
Even-
like I'm telling you, eventually, like all places, like how California kind of became this place where, you know, it was so many of us and we all went out there in abundance, and it's only a handful that's gonna make it. They're like, oh, let's go and do it in Atlanta. Atlanta will eventually become like that. And like, well, let's go do it here. And I think that's where Cleveland's and Detroit's and all these other, you know, smaller markets find their identity and just become that. Like Cleveland can become like, you know, my dream is, well, let Cleveland become like the Mecca for live streaming. I said it. The Mecca for live streaming. Like everything live comes out of Cleveland.
So it's like, because even Atlanta back then, they had once Teddy Riley, Babyface in them. When they moved to Atlanta, that's when, what's it, LaFace? That's
LaFace
when
Records,
that's
yeah.
when things start, because it was them executives. It was these two people or two industries. They took their labels, and then now, and also they have money, so now you can sign these acts and do all these different things. We just need hubs.
And I think it's just gonna take, you know, somebody say like, hey, I want to be Barry Gordy. You know what I mean? You know, I'm from here, and I'm gonna create sound that's from here, and I'm gonna utilize people from here to put that sound out to the world. Barry Gordy did it. You know what I mean? He did it right there in Detroit, Motown. QC did it in Atlanta. You know. Russell did it in New York. You know what I mean? Your boy did it in Houston. You know what I mean? It's gonna take. Easy did it in LA. It's like Gordon can do it in Cleveland.
Do you think the streaming world is the new? Is like the new music? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I said podcasters are the new artists. Remember I told you like that. Podcasters are like, really they're just like artists. You know, if you want to make money today, you want to formulate a record label, let it be of podcasters. You know, think of it as being just imagine being a Motown but with podcasters. So you have your, you know, Marvin Gaye's and Stevie Wonders and Diana Ross's of podcasting, and that's telling my age. But you could do the same thing for what Easy did with, you know, with NWA, Ice Cubes and Dre's and Snoops, and all of that came up out of that. But finding the best talent you can in Cleveland that's different enough to where you got this really dope roster, and like just finding the bag and putting the bag behind it. You know what I mean?
We about to wrap it up. We're gonna have to do another one because there's so much we could talk about. But I want to talk about how.
And this might be a good live, you know what I mean? Where we just,
you
know, but I gotta this is not my comfort zone, y'all. But, you know, as I get more comfortable, I think I can, you know, but it would have to have direction. Like, it would have to have like something more than us just doing this. Like you're speaking on something or just something matters important.
But that's streamers, like.
Yeah.
You the one talked about it 10 years ago. They don't have no, they don't.
It's organic.
It's organic.
I'm a fan of Kai Sanat.
That's the
Kai
best.
Sanat will spend 24 hours in Kmart.
Academics,
You know?
he sit there. He literally people throw topics.
Target. He spent 24 hours in Target.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it ain't it ain't no direction. It's people want to see you. They want the organicness. It's the real.
Yeah. So
like I ain't writing none of this stuff down. So everything that's coming out, it's coming straight from here.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, we're not just business partners, but we're also friends. Mm-hmm. So one thing about me and you, like we have our little push and pull and everything like that.
Yeah, we go at it.
Y'all probably will hear a little bit now, but that's because we real friends. But we both respect each other. We both respect each other.
If we agree with everything,
it ain't gonna work.
That ain't cool, man.
Yeah, but I was gonna ask you, like, how is that like working with your friends or like your close family? Is that something that's easy to do? Like as far as like working with people that you close with, like close friends and family?
No, it's not. It's different. I would actually tell you don't go into business with family and friends because, and then we're the exception, but like when the business goes wrong or when something goes wrong with the business, it will affect the friendship. Whether you want to believe it or not, but it just does, man. And I think a lot of celebrities, football players, basketball players, they'll tell you like when they got on and they start doing adventures with their family and friends, it soured their relationships, bro. Like it just does. Like it's you just don't, man. I just think it's hard. Like it's very rare to find a friend or a family member you can go into business with. It can happen, but it doesn't happen often.
Yeah. Well, me and you, we didn't grow up with each other. I know you was born in the 30s, so I wouldn't even thought. I just
I was 20s, man. I came up in the 20s, roaring 20s.
baby boomer. Yeah.
I ain't no baby boomer.
But I agree, man. It's working with your family, like too, for one, they remember when you used to pee on the toilet seat, so it'd be hard, especially when you grow up and you become like this person. Mm-hmm. They may not, they still look at you as like as that maybe that when you was younger,
and that's what I mean. I think in dealing with family and friends and being in business, when you have to become the boss, they don't respect it. They don't see you as like, if I like, hey bro, get over there and do that, you might take that a little different if it was somebody I didn't grow up with or you wasn't a family member. Like, hey bro, I need you to grab that for me.
Yeah. And
that's kind of thing they be like, oh, like, and that's what happens when like say you're this extremely successful people and you try to bring in a family member, but you need him to do things that you would actually pay somebody to do. And when you tell them, hey, to do this, or you don't see they don't doing it because they don't feel they have to, because hey, I'm your best friend, I ain't got to do that, have them do it. They want the money free. It becomes a problem, and then that relationship becomes like no good, man. So.
And too, like, I would say we work for each other because it's a lot of times, you might help me, but it's a lot of times I hold a camera. I'll go do, we didn't even talk about live cast. We talk about that another day, but stream funerals, like, we do a lot of stuff. Like, we work for each other because it's a lot of times you try to get people to work, especially in this era. Don't nobody want to work and stuff like that. But we just do it ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
What I really try to do, man, and I think you figured it out, is that, like, I'll try to show someone, like, hey, this is something that could really, 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 help you or benefit you in a real way, and just kind of leave it like that, because the ones that really get it are the ones that really is going to be the best at that. Is the one that's doesn't take pushing. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, you kind of like, I'll like, hey, here, or I got this here, or let's do this here. And you be like, you run with it. That's where you find your allies at, your relationships with people that like, hey, like, because I can tell you, hey man, I want I want to do a production company. This is what it is, and whoop whoop. And you know, if we do this, so on and so forth, it can become that. And the average person to hear that be like, okay, and not know what to do with it. But a person that's kind of like you, who you want people that are kind of got what you got in yourself, that ability to go out and get it. They'll be like, whoa, oh, I see it, and they'll take the initiative to kind of make it go. And then you kind of like just meet, like, oh, he took that, because you can't be doing the same thing. You know what I mean? So if we got this business venture which got all these different moving parts, you have to be working on that part while I'm working on that part. If we're both working on the same part, then you know we really ain't going. It's going to take us a long time to get somewhere.
Yeah, it's just the visionaries. I was listening to Ray Daniels on the Danza project. They got a dope podcast, but he was talking about how protecting your dreams, and he said sometimes, like, when you tell people your dreams, that can hurt you, because they'll try to sabotage it or try to. Sometimes it be people that's close to you, and you telling them your dream. He said sometimes you got to protect your dream, because it'd be somebody literally hating on it, like right then and there. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I feel like, you know, I'm a creative enough to come up with my own, you know, type of stuff. Like, you done told me a bunch of stuff. Some of the stuff, I'm starting to see things you told me 5 years ago or 7 years ago that's coming out now. But everybody don't got those ideas, and ideas are currency.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So
content is a new currency.
Yep. But yeah, we about to wrap it up. You know, we can talk all day. Yeah, so we probably gonna call each other after this.
This been about a 2 hour. You gonna have to break this up in half, man. Like, this been like a 2 hour interview.
I like them truck drivers, man. They be on the road. They like listening. You know, they want to. You know, they want to hear.
My brother a truck driver, the homie a truck driver.
My brother is too. They be wanting to hear the whole shebang. You know, so hey, we'll see. We see how it look. But yeah, another episode. My friends are better. Yeah, I'm blessed to have my friend, you know, partner, godfather of my kid, you know what I'm saying, here right now. So yeah, I just want to say I thank you. I appreciate you. And yeah, you deserve all your flowers. I feel like a lot of stuff that people seeing now, you already been doing it already. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people now, like this whole podcasting, streaming, creative spaces, you've been doing all of this. I seen it when I first met you. Yeah. And I feel like you don't get your credit, you know what I'm saying? But you deserve all your flowers, because a lot of people have seen what you did, and now I'm seeing a bunch of people open up creative spaces now.
God gives you my flowers, man. I really, like, God gives me my flowers. You too, bro. You like, I don't need no flowers, you know. Like, I'm just big on them blessings that come, man. That's why I don't mind giving, because it's coming back.
God is giving it to you. That's why I'm saying it. He told me to say that right now. He said, tell him to give him his flowers. But you do though. Like, you've accomplished a lot of stuff, and I know you want to retire. And your time is coming. I see it. I see it's coming. Like,
that's to my wife, man.
Something about to happen. Like, great.
Oh, it's happening already, bro.
It's happening, but it's gonna be that. It's something else that's coming.
We in it. We've been in it for a minute, man. So sometimes it's in God's time, bro. You know, and like, you know, that's all I can really say. We're gonna end with that. It's all in God's time. How long is it? See, before you press stop, see how long it took. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see which one you're on. Let me see what shot you had. Oh, it was that. Yeah, it was the shot. You got the TV though. Why did you get the TV? I would have kicked it down. You stopped it? Let's see how long it is. It's been 1 hour and 28 minutes.
1 hour and 30, because we started.
Yeah. He should do it like that, no TV, just that. That was a better shot. You want to move the TV.